Canada is waking up today under a weather pattern that refuses to let go of winter. And if you thought spring had already settled in, today's conditions are going to prove otherwise. Across the country, a stubborn late-season setup is keeping temperatures suppressed, skies unsettled, and precipitation types mixed and unpredictable. What we're seeing right now is a classic early April battle between lingering cold Arctic air and slowly advancing milder air from the south, and that clash is creating a messy, inconsistent weather picture from coast to coast. This is not a clean transition into spring. Instead, it's a drawn-out, back-and-forth shift where winter still has a firm grip, especially during the mornings and overnight hours. Temperatures today are one of the clearest indicators that the seasonal transition is far from complete. Most regions are sitting in the range of about 3 to 9 degrees Celsius during the daytime, which on paper might look somewhat mild, but in reality, it feels noticeably colder due to wind and damp conditions. Overnight lows are still dropping to around freezing or even below, hovering between 0 and -5 degrees in many areas. That means any moisture on the ground has the potential to refreeze, creating slippery and hazardous conditions, especially in the early morning hours. When you factor in wind chill, it often feels several degrees colder than the actual temperature, reinforcing that winter-like edge that continues to dominate the atmosphere. The reason behind this persistent chill comes down to the larger-scale weather pattern. A broad trough of low pressure remains positioned over much of central and eastern Canada, allowing colder air from the north to spill southward. At the same time, milder Pacific air is trying to push inland across western regions, and slightly warmer air is attempting to move up from the United States into southern Canada. The result is a collision zone where different air masses interact, and that's exactly why we're seeing such a wide range of precipitation types and rapidly changing conditions. In Ontario and Quebec, the day is shaping up to be cloudy, damp, and somewhat unsettled. The presence of that colder air mass means that precipitation is not falling uniformly as rain. Instead, many areas are experiencing a mix of light rain, flurries, and occasionally a rain-snow combination. This mixed precipitation is a clear sign that temperatures in the lower atmosphere are hovering right around the freezing mark. Even slight changes of 1 or 2 degrees can shift precipitation from rain to snow or vice versa. That's why conditions can vary significantly even within short distances. One area may see light rain, while another nearby location experiences wet snow. The cloud cover is also playing a role, trapping cooler air near the surface and preventing significant daytime warming, which keeps everything feeling chilly and damp throughout the day. Moving westward into Alberta and Saskatchewan, the weather becomes more variable but still reflects that ongoing seasonal tug-of-war. Cloud cover is widespread, and scattered precipitation is developing in different forms depending on local temperatures and elevation. In some places, light snow continues to fall, especially where colder air remains entrenched, while in others, slightly warmer conditions allow for rain showers to develop. This variability is typical for this time of year, but what stands out today is how persistent the colder influence remains. Even where temperatures briefly climb, they are not doing so strongly enough to fully transition conditions into a stable spring pattern. British Columbia is experiencing a somewhat different scenario, but it still ties into the overall national pattern. Here, the influence of the Pacific Ocean is helping to moderate temperatures slightly, making conditions milder compared to the rest of the country. However, that same Pacific influence is also bringing moisture inland, resulting in periods of rain, especially along the coast and in lower elevations. The combination of milder air and steady moisture creates a damp, gray day rather than a cold and snowy one. Still, despite the relative warmth, it doesn't feel like true spring yet, as cloud cover dominates and sunshine remains limited. In the prairies, particularly Manitoba, the colder side of the system is more noticeable again. Cloudy skies dominate, and light snow or flurries are still present in many areas. The key factor here is the wind. Even when snowfall is light, gusty conditions can reduce visibility and make it feel significantly colder than the actual temperature. Wind chill continues to be a factor, especially during the morning and evening hours, and that reinforces the sense that winter has not fully loosened its grip on the region. Atlantic Canada is also dealing with unsettled conditions, with a mix of rain and occasional wet snow, depending on the exact location and time of day. Coastal areas are experiencing breezy conditions, which not only enhance the chill but also contribute to a more uncomfortable feel overall. The proximity to the ocean adds moisture to the system, increasing the likelihood of precipitation, while temperatures hovering near freezing allow for that rain-snow mix to persist. This creates a damp and raw environment that feels far from the typical expectations of early spring. What makes today's weather particularly important is not just the individual conditions in each region, but the broader pattern it represents. This is a transitional phase that is taking longer than usual to resolve. Instead of a quick shift from winter to spring, the atmosphere is gradually adjusting, and that means continued variability and instability in the days ahead. Systems will continue to move through, bringing alternating periods of rain, snow, and mixed precipitation, while temperatures slowly trend upward but remain inconsistent. Looking at the bigger picture, this type of pattern is not unusual for early April, but the persistence of colder air is notable. It suggests that the full arrival of spring warmth will be delayed, and Canadians should be prepared for more days like this where conditions can change quickly and unpredictably. Morning frost, daytime chill, and mixed precipitation will remain part of the daily routine for a little while longer. In practical terms, this means staying prepared for a range of conditions within a single day. You might start the morning dealing with icy patches, transition into light rain by midday, and then see flurries return by evening. It's that kind of variability that defines this stage of the season. While the overall trend will eventually shift toward warmer and more stable weather, today is a clear reminder that the transition is still very much in progress. So as Canada moves through this early April period, the key takeaway is patience. Spring is coming, but it's not arriving all at once. Instead, it's unfolding gradually, with winter making repeated attempts to hold on. Today's weather perfectly captures that struggle, with cold air, mixed precipitation, and unsettled skies dominating the scene from coast to coast.